Welcome back to Dracula Daily, and we will continue with whatever Mina shares in her journal after all the thing and how it continues to go with our dear Lucy. Also, the more I think about her being like very sensitive, I would love to see a modern take on why she is that way, how she is that way, beyond the supernatural of it. But my God, do I absolutely understand her sensitivity to a lot of things, even if I'm not a sleepwalker. But let's continue, shall we? August 11th, Mina Murray's journal, 3 a.m. Diary again. No sleep now, so I may as well write. I'm too agitated to sleep. We have had such an adventure, such an agonizing experience. I fell asleep as soon as I had closed my diary. Suddenly, I became broad awake and sat up with a horrible sense of fear upon me and of some feeling of emptiness around me. The room was dark, so I could not see Lucy's bed. I stole across and felt for her. The bed was empty. I lit a match and found that she was not in the room. The door was shut, but not locked, as I had left it. I feared to wake her mother, who has been more than usually ill lately, so threw on some clothes and got ready to look for her. As I was leaving the room, it struck me that the clothes she wore might give me some clue of her dreaming intentions. Dressing gown would mean house, dress outside. Dressing gown and dress were both in their places. Thank God, I said to myself, she cannot be far as she is only in her nightdress. I ran downstairs and looked in the sitting room. Not there. Then I looked in all the other open rooms of the house with an ever-growing fear chilling my heart. Finally, I came to the hall door and found it open. It was not wide open, but the catch of the lock had not caught. The people of the house are careful to lock the door every night, so I fear that Lucy must have gone out as she was. There was no time to think of what might happen. A vague, overmastering fear obscured all details. I took a big, heavy shawl and ran out. The clock was striking 1 as I was in the crescent, and there was not a soul inside. I ran along the north terrace, but could see no sign of the white figure which I expected. On the edge of the west cliff above the pier, I looked across the harbor to the east cliff in the hope of fear, I don't know which, of seeing Lucy in our favorite seat. There was a bright full moon with heavy black driving clouds, which threw the whole scene into a fleeting diorama of light and shade as they sailed across. For a moment or two, I could see nothing, and as the shadow of a cloud obscured St. Mary's Church and all around it. Then, as the cloud passed, I could see the ruins of the abbey coming into view, and as the edge of a narrow band of light, as sharp as a sword cut, moved along, the church and the churchyard became gradually visible. Whatever my expectations was, it was not disappointed, for there, on our favorite seat, the silver light of the moon struck a half-reclining figure, snowy white. The coming of the clown was too quick for me to see much, for shadow shut down on light almost immediately. But it seemed to me as though something dark stood behind the seat where the white figure shone, and bent over it. What it was, whether man or beast, I could not tell. It did not wait to catch another glance, but flew down the steep steps to the pier and along by the fish market to the bridge, which was the only way to reach the east cliff. The town seemed as dead, for not a soul did I see. I rejoiced that it was so, for I wanted no witness of poor Lucy's condition. The time and distance seemed endless, and my knees trembled and my breath came labored as I toiled up the endless steps of the abbey. I must have gone fast, and yet it seemed to me as if my feet were weighted with lead, and as though every joint in my body were rusty. When I got almost to the top, I could see that the seat and the white figure, for I was now close enough to distinguish it even through the spells of shadow. It was undoubtedly something long and black, bending over the half-reclining white figure. I called in fright, "Lucy! Lucy!" and something raised the head, and from where I could see a white face and red, gleaming eyes. Lucy did not answer, and I ran on the entrance of the churchyard. As I entered, the church was between me and the seat, and for a minute or so I lost sight of her. When I came in view again, and the cloud had passed, and the moonlight struck so brilliantly that I could see Lucy half reclined with her head lying on the back of the seat. She was quite alone, and there was not a sign of any living thing about. I don't have to explain what happened, right? Don't have to explain that Dracula got to Lucy and I. Everything that happened with the Demeter was bad enough, but this is now the real cataclysm of anything that will come. But I'm not finished yet, so let's continue. When I bent over her, I could see that she was still asleep. Her lips were parted and she was breathing, not softly as usual with her, but in long, heavy gasps, as though striving to get her lungs full at every breath. As I came close, she put her hand in her sleeve and pulled the collar of a nightdress close around her throat. What she did, so there came a slight shudder through her, as though she felt the cold. I flung the warm shawl over her and drew the edges tight around her neck, for I dreaded lest she should get some deadly chill from the night air, unclad as she was. I feared to wake her all at once, so in order to have my hands free and that I might help her, I fastened the shawl at her throat with a big safety pin. But I must have been clumsy in my anxiety and pinched or pricked her, for by and by, when her breathing became quieter, she put her hand on the throat again and moaned. When I had her carefully wrapped, I put my shoes on her feet and then began very gently to wake her. At first she did not respond, but gradually she became more and more uneasy in her sleep, moaning and sighing occasionally. At last, as time was passing fast, and for many other reasons I wished to get her home at once, I shook her more forcibly, till finally she opened her eyes and awoke. She did not seem surprised to see me, as, of course, she did not realize all at once where she was. Lucy always wakes prettily, and even at such time, when her body must have been chilled with cold and her mind somewhat appalled at waking unclad in a churchyard at night, she did not lose her grace. How is that important? How is that? She trembled a little and clung to me. When I told her to come at once with me home, she rose without a word, with the obedience of a child. As we passed along, the gravel hurt my feet, and Lucy noticed me wince. She stopped and wanted to insist upon my taking the shoes, but I would not. However, when we got to the pathway outside the churchyard, where there was a puddle of water remaining from the storm, I daubed my feet with mud, using each foot in turn or another, so that as we went home, no one, in case we should meet anyone, should notice my bare feet. Fortune favored us, and we got home without meeting a soul. Only we saw a man who seemed not quite sober passing along a street in front of us, but we hid in a door till he had disappeared upon an opening, as there are here steep little cloughs or winds, as they call them in Scotland. My heart beat so loud all the time that sometimes I thought I should faint. I was filled with anxiety about Lucy, not only for her health, lest she should suffer from the exposure, but from her reputation, in case the stories should get wind. When we got in and had washed our feet and had said a prayer of thankfulness together, I tucked her into bed. Before falling asleep, she asked, even implored, me not to say a word to anyone, even her mother, about her sleepwalking adventure. I hesitated at first to promise, but on thinking of the state of her mother's health and how the knowledge of such a thing would fret her, and thinking too how much of a story might become distorted, nay, infallibly would, in case it would leak out, I thought it wiser to do so. I hope I did right. I have locked the door, and the key is tied to my wrist, so perhaps I shall not be again disturbed. Lucy is sleeping soundly. The reflex of the dawn is nigh and far over the sea. Same day, noon. All goes well. Lucy slept till I woke her and seemed not to have even changed her side. The adventure of the night does not seem to have harmed her. On the contrary, it has benefited her, for her looks better this morning than she had done for weeks. I was sorry to notice my clumsiness with the safety pin hurt her. Indeed, it might have been serious, for the skin of her throat was pierced. I must have pinched a piece of loose skin and have transfixed this, for there are two little red points like pinpricks on the band of her nightdress was a drop of blood. When I apologized and was concerned about it, she laughed and patted me and said she did not even feel it. Fortunately, it cannot leave a scar as it is so tiny. Same day, night. We passed a happy day. The air was clear and the sun bright, and there was a cool breeze. We took our lunch to Margrove Woods, Mrs. Westenra driving by the road, and Lucy and I walking by the cliff path, joining her at the gate. I felt a little sad myself, for I could not but feel how absolutely happy it would have been had Jonathan been with me. But there, I must only be patient. In the evening, we strolled into Casino Terrace and heard some good music by Spohr and Mackenzie and went to bed early. Lucy seems more restful than she had been for some time and fell asleep at once. I shall lock her door and secure the key, the same as before, though I do not expect any trouble tonight. Jeez. I said it again and again. The true horror of reading Dracula is knowing the truth and having to see the characters not knowing anything. Because the only character who knows what's up is Jonathan, who's somewhere. Who knows who he is? And so now we're having Renfield's weird behavior. We have Lucy's weird behavior, who is sensitive, and it got worse since Dracula landed in Whitby. Now we have a very, very obvious point of Dracula bit her. And the fact that she now even seems better and looks better is so horrifying for anything that will happen down the line. Strap yourself in. The next weeks will be dreadful. They will genuinely be very dreadful. But thank you for listening. Until then.